Today I'm going to be teaching you about 2D collage techniques. There's some materials that you might need, including scissors, wacky scissors, hole punch, glue bottle, and a glue stick. Once you have your materials, you need to start thinking about what you are going to create and how you want to piece the shapes together. You can always start with geometric shapes like triangles, squares, rectangles, and just begin cutting different shapes and piecing them together to create larger shapes. Certain shapes work really well for making people or animals. For example, circles or ovals are great shapes to use for creating a head of a person or an animal. And then you can always add on other parts and pieces to create nose, eyes, mouth, things like that, by adding smaller shapes on top of the larger shapes that you created for a body or an animal. Another type of shapes are organic shapes. So all the ones that I cut out in purple and blue are geometric shapes. Those are shapes that have names. Organic shapes don't have a particular name, but they're really just shapes that are free form and shapes that kind of remind you of nature. Next, I'm going to layer by cutting out a shape and putting paper on top of other paper to create depth and layers of paper to make details. Next, I'm going to show you overlapping. Overlapping is similar to layering. It's the same idea that you can create details and interest by creating shapes that go over or under each other. Next is positive and negative. Drawing the shape and then using the scissors to outline directly on top of that line that you drew is the best way to create a positive and negative shape. The positive shape is the piece that you cut out. The negative shape is what is left over. When working with a hole punch, you can use it in a couple different ways. You can use it to create holes in a piece of paper, or you can punch out and use the little circles of paper themselves as part of your artwork. I'd also like to show you how to cut some fancy lines. It's pretty easy to do with a regular pair of scissors just by cutting wavy or zigzag lines, or you can tear the paper to create a more organic feeling edge. You can even use scissors that are the fancy scissors to create all kinds of different lines. I'm also going to show you explode technique, which is where you cut a piece of paper and then leave a little bit of negative space in between where you cut the pieces. Last 2D collage technique I'm going to show you is counterchange. This is where you take a piece of paper and you cut shapes out, keeping both the shapes and the paper that you cut from. Then you flip the shapes the opposite direction and glue them down. Last technique is photo montage. It's similar to collage, but it's a little bit different. Instead of using pieces of paper that are blank or just have a pattern, you're going to be using actual photographs. The way to do this is to start with a magazine, start flipping through, finding images that are interesting to you, and then you can cut them out. You can also cut out and rearrange letters to create new words, similar to the way that you would do with images. Key to a successful photo montage is using the scissors to get as close as you can to the photos that you're cutting out and layering on top of the background. So you have to go really slow and cut very carefully around the pictures. You want to be careful to completely cut away the background so that when you place your object or animal on a new background, it will look like it belongs there. I didn't end up using the panda, but I found this great fish instead. So you can see how fun photo montage can be. Now that I've shown you all these collage techniques, I'm really excited to see how you get creative with collage.